Hello, Leafs Nation. Today we have two important updates that will stir the hearts and minds of every fan who wears blue and white. First, a fundamental reflection on why the Toronto Maple Leafs should avoid the temptation of trading for star defenseman Erik Karlsson, even in the face of the team's needs. And second, a rumor that's igniting conversations. The possibility that Connor Mcdavid, the greatest Canadian talent in the NHL and a son of our region, might one day wear the Leafs jersey, an idea that makes us dream, but also demand a lot of caution and reflection. Want to know everything about these two topics that could shape the future of our team? Then leave your like down below and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. Because here, more than news, we live this passion with you, with emotion and reason, always together on a path toward the long-awaited Stanley Cup. Shall we go? Trade update number 2. Why the Leafs should avoid trading for Erik Karlsson, a reflection for Leafs Nation. If there's one thing everyone who wears blue and white knows, it's that supporting the Toronto Maple Leafs goes far beyond results on a standings board. It's about hope, patience, and above all, learning from the past, so we don't repeat the same mistakes. And that's exactly why this conversation about Erik Karlsson needs to be had calmly, with an open heart, but also with reason in place. Let's be honest. The last offseason left scars are still being digested by every fan. Losing Mitchell Marner, one of the faces of this generation, in a sign-and-trade deal with the Vegas Golden Knights, was not easy for anyone, especially when you consider that he was part of a core that, although never hoisting the long for Stanley Cup, kept the Leafs competitive over recent years. The upside? Management didn't stand still. They brought in Mcdavid in a smart trade with the Utah Mammoth, try to fill part of the void left behind. He's not Marner, no one is, but he can contribute youth and dynamism, and that's where the danger lies. That hole still exists. And as every fan knows, where there's a need, rumors arise. That's how Erik Karlsson's name came back around Toronto. According to Elliot Friedman on 32 Thoughts and James Murphy from RG, the interest is real, but remains an idea that calls for more caution than excitement. Because in practice, today's Karlsson is not the same player who dazzled the league years ago. Yes, he still has offensive flashes, but the price to get those flashes is almost prohibitive. A $10 million hit on the salary cap is way too heavy for a team that already has to balance every dollar to maintain depth and emergency pieces. And Leafs Nation knows this. We've seen similar stories before. Heavy contracts that freeze the roster, gambles that don't pay off, and the result is always the same: frustration when it matters most. Currently, the Leafs cap space is just under $5 million, meaning to bring Karlsson, we have to give up even more pieces. Pieces that may not be stars but make up the team, maintain chemistry, and help get through a long season full of ups and downs. And it's not just that. The deal itself would require Pittsburgh to give up a significant portion of the contract. Something unlikely, considering the Penguins also have their own salary cap issues to solve. If they really wanted to shed the entire contract, great for them, but bad for whoever takes it on. It doesn't make sense for Toronto to pay full price. That would put a heavy burden on the team that could cost dearly when the playoffs arrive, precisely when every detail counts. And there's no shortage of smarter alternatives. Dougie Hamilton's name, from the New Jersey Devils, has come up in talks, but it's not much different in terms of financial impact $9 million per year. with a long contract. And still, the Devils would have to agree to retain part of the salary. Not easy. Travis Sanheim from the Philadelphia Flyers seems more viable. The cap hit would be $6.25 million. Still high, but more digestible, with a contract running through 2031, providing stability for the defensive group. He's not a headline-grabbing name, but he's solid, consistent, and could even improve in Toronto. And this is the point every fan needs to remember. The search now is not for big names on paper, but for pieces that complete the puzzle. It's better to have a balanced roster with real depth and flexibility to reinforce where needed than a huge contract that drains adjustment possibilities when injuries hit. Because they always hit. Anyone who's followed the Leafs for years knows how a frozen cap has already taken away precious chances to bring in key players at the trade deadline. More than ever, it's time to trust in patient building, to demand coherent decisions from management. The dream of hoisting the Stanley Cup isn't just about superstars. It's about consistency, a healthy locker room, and above all, not letting the present compromise the future. That's the lesson Leafs Nation has been learning the hard way for decades. So, next time Karlsson's name pops up in flashy headlines, take a deep breath. Remember that not all that glitters is gold, and that in Toronto, the most precious gold is having a team that is competitive but also sustainable. The Stanley Cup is a marathon, not a 100-meter sprint. To all of us who wear blue and white with pride, here's the message. Keep following, discussing, and holding the team accountable. The passion of Leafs Nation is what keeps this team alive, season after season. Stay confident, but keep your eyes open, because in the end, we are all part of the same mission. To see the Maple Leaf rise high, but the right way at the right time. Trade update number 1. Connor McDavid on the Maple Leafs. The rumor that makes the entire Leafs Nation dream and reflect. If there's something we learned from the history of the Toronto Maple Leafs, it's that being a fan of this team means living in a constant balance between hope and patience. The wait for the Stanley Cup has lasted decades, and every season, the fans cling to new chances, new faces, new dreams. And now, in the midst of a busy offseason, a rumor has been setting conversations on fire in every corner of the city and the country. What if Connor McDavid, the greatest Canadian talent today, decided to wear blue and white? Let's break it down. For those who don't know, Connor McDavid isn't just an exceptional player. He is, for many, the best in the NHL today. The captain of the Edmonton Oilers is synonymous with speed, skill, and leadership, a combination few have managed to balance so well in recent years. Recently, McDavid faced one of his biggest disappointments, losing in the Stanley Cup Finals to the Florida Panthers. The pain of that final was felt by him, by the team, and by everyone following his journey up close. And it's precisely after this bitter defeat that rumors about his future have started to gain momentum. Journalist Adam Gretz from Bleacher Report recently took an in-depth look at McDavid's possible destinations once his contract with the Oilers expires. And Toronto, of course, appears as one of the most enticing options. After all, we're talking about a player born in the Greater Toronto area, a hometown kid for whom blue and white could represent not just a team, but home. Gretz pointed out that even with Austin Matthews already being the franchise's biggest star and number one center, it would be almost impossible for Toronto not to be involved in the race if McDavid were to become available. And here's where the complexity of this story lies. On one hand, imagine the impact McDavid would have alongside Matthews, Nylander, and company. It would be an attack almost impossible to stop, with two of the NHL's biggest offensive talents playing side by side. For any Leafs fan, that vision is electrifying. It's a dream of a team finally capable of breaking the curse and winning the Stanley Cup. On the other hand, there are huge barriers that need to be faced. McDavid's current contract is one of the biggest in the league, reflecting his unquestionable elite status. Bringing in a player with such a high salary to Toronto would require serious financial gymnastics, involving not just a salary cap, but also potential trades to clear space. This means other key players could be traded or valuable picks would have to be given up. And every drastic change carries risks. Losing chemistry, unbalancing the roster, creating locker room conflicts, especially when you have two big stars sharing the spotlight. And that's a crucial point for Leafs Nation to understand. Austin Matthews isn't just a player. He's the face of the franchise and a symbol of hope for millions of fans who grew up watching their team come up short. Integrating McDavid into the core group is not just about talent, but about managing egos, ice time, and strategies that go far beyond what happens on the surface. Meanwhile, McDavid keeps his focus away from the spotlight. He chose to spend this recovery period with family, alongside his wife Lauren Kyle, far from the noise of speculation. This attitude shows the human side of the athlete. Despite the pressure and fame, he prioritizes his personal balance, knowing that decisions about his future need to be made calmly and respectfully. In the current scenario, the Oilers still have a strong core with McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and fans remain hopeful. But the NHL is a game of quick opportunities and strategic decisions, and every window of chance can close suddenly. For Toronto, this means that any possibility of bringing McDavid must be evaluated with extreme caution. In addition, it's important to reflect on what this rumor represents for the league and for Canadian hockey. Having McDavid on the Maple Leafs will be not just a high-impact sports move, but a symbol of uniting the country's biggest market with its greatest talent. It would be a meeting of generations, the return of a son to his home, the chance to show the world that Toronto can indeed be the stage for hockey's ultimate glory. But dreaming must not blind us to reality. The franchise must maintain a balance between boldness and responsibility. Patience, the gradual building of a strong, cohesive roster, the development of young talent, and the maintenance of a winning culture are fundamental pillars of the Stanley Cup to finally shine again in Toronto. So, Leafs Nation, the mission is clear. Support our team and our current players. Follow the rumors with an open mind, but always with critical eye. Every report, every piece of speculation should be seen as part of a bigger process, a process that demands calm strategy and the right amount of passion. And you, fan, what's your take on this possibility? Do you believe we'll one day see Connor McDavid wearing blue and white? Or do you think the team should focus on the present and the development of its current core? Whatever your opinion, one thing is certain. Our passion for the Maple Leafs will never fade. Let's go together, Leafs Nation. The road to the cup may be long, but with faith, patience, and strategy, the dream is more alive than ever.